Everyone watching right now, you are here at the beginning of something huge.
Boom.
Yes. Or we don't ever do it again. One or the other. Yeah. But you're going to be one of those.
Wait, what's happening? What are we doing?
Just hold.
Okay.
Trash. Shut
All
your
right.
mouth.
Okay.
Trash, you asked for links, and I gave you links, and you don't even know what we're talking about now. This
I
is
do
very
know what I'm
offensive.
talking about. I read it.
Can you
Trash,
stop eating
the
gummy
momentum
bears?
of the show was like this, Trash, and then
Me
this
a
was you.
Starburst.
That's what happened.
All right,
It's
so
just cratered.
goodbye, GitHub. If you didn't know, the CEO of GitHub stepped down. And instead of getting a new CEO or anything, Microsoft has absorbed GitHub into their AI core team. And so this is leading to a lot of people fleeing from GitHub, or apparently a lot of people, obviously this is like blue sky people saying they're going to go to Codeberg. So I'm not really sure what that actually equates to in real numbers. But there's a lot of interesting questions going on here, which is one, what is the future of GitHub? And what do you think Microsoft actually values GitHub for? And TJ, I know you love Microsoft and you're probably the biggest fanboy. So what do you think this actually means for Microsoft here?
Well, one thing I'd just like to get on the record, Prime, could you say that I was correct that Microsoft's unable to ship new features?
We did have this discussion.
We had this
before.
discussion, and I'd like the record to be set straight in front of everyone.
I will say that Microsoft cannot ship new features, and their only answer to anything is AI at this current point.
And Microsoft is really hoping AGI gets here soon because they forgot how to make new things without it.
They're like, we don't remember how to embrace or extend, but we do know how to extinguish still.
That part we're ready to do. Okay, so my actual thing about this, which I think is like, there's two main things. The first one that I think of is I think of Conway's law. Number one, Trash, what's Conway's law? We'll do a pop quiz.
I don't know, but I'm gonna Google it right now. I don't
Quick,
remember.
Trash, we'll cut it out in post. Here we go. Just pretend.
Yeah. That pretending. Yes.
No,
Kanye's
Trash,
law?
you still gotta read what Conway's law is.
What's Conway's law? Yes,
Conway's
it is.
law describes the link between communication structure of organizations and the systems they design.
Wow, Trash. That's crazy you had that off the top of
Yeah.
your
Could
head.
you say
I
that
was-
in like layman's term, Trash?
Let me ChatGPT live. Conway's law emphasizes the need to
re-summarize.
break down silos within. No, that doesn't sound right. Next. Let's keep it going.
right,
I do know
TJ,
what
what
I
is
know what it is
Conway's
now,
law?
though.
Okay, so the simple way of saying it is basically like the organization of your company will be reflected in the code effectively. Like, so if what you do is you move your code hosting platform and code review tooling, that should be, iterating forward, making it so, yes, we can display every diff without having to have you click an extra button to say load diff. We're going to spend 10,000 gallons of water to ask the AI query, but we cannot run the Ruby code it takes to format this diff. We can't do it. They're going to say, okay, now this whole team and company is just going to get moved under AI. We no longer care about making GitHub a viable place to work together and be its own tool that you might independently use from the rest of the Microsoft AI stack. It will only be used to further Microsoft's AI goals. Even if that's not what they say, when they put it in the organization this way, that is what will happen. So that's Conway's law.
They're saying it with action, not in words, right?
Yes.
If they would have put it under developer productivity org, then it would have been a lot more obvious, being like, oh, they're really actually trying to move closer. It's no longer a separate company. It's now inlined with whatever that means. Okay, we're going to see something here. But instead, you're right. AI, we're going to just see more AI, because the person leading it isn't going to be like, you know what we need? Developer productivity. They're going to be like, we need more AI.
Or
What's
just
that?
like, we need the things to load fast. They don't care. They care about it as a way to mine data from your code to fuel things or to license out that data to then sell to people. I think that's probably more likely. Like, they're going to sell it out to OpenAI. They're going to sell it out to other people. But like, for me, it's kind of sad because you're like, this is the main place today people are using to share and work with code. And now I feel like it's kind of a dead end. I don't know.
I'd say another thing that they're saying is that the money they make from private repos and from big orgs, like all of that is just not a priority anymore for them. It's really the AI in which they wish to monetize this thing. And so that's really going to be the driver of all this. That's at least how I'm saying the same thing as you. I'm just saying it from a different perspective. That they actually so thoroughly don't believe there's money in the hosting repo developer productivity. They're saying it's an AI.
Am I allowed to step in here and exonerate Conway from this a little bit? Okay. Well, I was just going to say Conway is really not that implicated here, or Conway's law isn't actually. Because what you guys are actually talking about is like motivation. You're talking about the fact that if I transfer something from the altruistic flower growing division of Microsoft to the we are here to grind up babies and put them into sausages division, that the direction of the product will change. And you're absolutely right. That is totally true, but it's not Conway's law.
True.
Conway's law is just that the org chart copies itself into the efficiency of the application you're doing, or whatever it is, right? So if you have 3 teams who are all going to be separate teams, then when you produce the product, there will be 3 components to the product. It doesn't really have that much to do with what they'll all be trying to do.
Yeah.
It's just you won't get any actual, like, and it's just about the speed of those communication links, right? It's like if these are separate groups, they talk internal to each other more frequently than they talk across, so they naturally can't have as much fusion across that boundary, right? So it's like the easiest way to look at this is like, why are there like 17 different volume sliders in Windows? It's like because a different team worked on every volume slider. That's just how it is. Like Conway's law is literally like baked into things you can literally see in like the application, right? And so I don't think Conway's law will be that responsible for the demise of GitHub. I think the like transferring it to the baby grinder division is most of it. But anyway, that's just me defending Conway from, because it's not really his fault this time.
Yeah, the only thing I would sort of like a little pushback there is,
Yeah.
like by putting it in the AI division, that's the people that they're going to communicate with, and they're going to work on building and
Yeah.
doing all right. So it's more like
It's more
they
like
just
Tej's law.
Yeah?
I think you
Oh.
should just coin a law, which is that the ethos,
Yes.
which is that each one of like the divisions inside your org has like a goal, and when you move a project from one to the other, Tej's law says it will change the direction of the project.
Nice.
And it doesn't matter what the product was. You put it in there, it becomes that product.
True.
Call it Tej's law. Conway said
Nice.
nothing about this, to my recollection.
I think Casey is completely correct. I believe, if I remember, Conway's law is more about you can also apply it to the structure of code, represents
Yeah.
the org chart.
Like
Yeah.
his classic example was if you have 5 separate people work on a compiler, you'll get a 5-pass compiler.
So
Right?
Print on a
I like
stamped
Tej's
official.
law. There is
Okay.
a little bit in the original Conway paper where he talks about like he does say that like managers having incentives to like, you know, there's a little bit in there about that, but it's about like their own personal career advancement. So it kind of maybe it foreshadows Tej's law a little bit, but I feel like you can lay claim to Tej's law here.
I gotta go
would
publish
support
a
you.
paper. All right.
You should.
all right. Trash, what were you gonna say?
No, I was saying, while you all are debating, I was ChatGPT and Conway's law, getting Eli 5 to me, right? And then after I read it, I was like, I don't think TJ knows what Conway's law is after all. So, you know, I'm glad Casey said something, so thank you for that.
So
I
to
just
be
love-
fair, hold on, I think you're being unfair to
I'm
TJ.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, TJ.
No,
if
Trash,
he
that's
had-
good. That's good stuff, dude.
Can we
That's
ask
funny.
ChatGPT what Tej's law is?
Let's
Oh,
find
we
TJ
out.
need to
heard
start-
it from Began,
this is-
and he got really excited, and ever since then, it's been like that's what he's just been wanting to talk about. Okay, so I think you're just a little off.
I know Conway's law before Began told me.
Not
Began
even.
informs me only of TikTok trends. He does
Began?
not inform me of any new information
Say in the
about
chat right
programming.
now, you know for a fact. Yeah, but
Vegan's gonna say yes in
pretending
chat,
to know a law.
Wait,
fine.
if it's on TikTok, there should be big like letters flashing under the thing right now. Conway's law says that the org chart will be copied into the product that the corporation makes. For more, check out blah. It's like, yeah, great.
Oh, Casey,
Good.
that was
This is
good.
why the kids don't know anything.
If I'm not mistaken, Casey, you mentioned that you're actually moving off of GitHub completely. I assume it has nothing to do with this, and your motivations has
Correct.
to do with the fact that you want your own Git private, or is it about LLMs, or is it about you actually envisioning your actual repository system as an entity itself?
It is about the LLMs. It was something that I kind of already knew and assumed that they were doing anyway. Like, I mean, it seemed pretty clear that they were doing this with like GitHub Copilot and things like that. And as far as I'm concerned, like, there's 2 separate things. We've talked about this before. There's what will like the Supreme Court and or Congress eventually decide to do with the official legality of training off of data you didn't pay for. But then there's also just the practical matter of it, which is that no matter what they decide, you can always put your stuff behind a paywall with an official license or something, right? I think it was very nice while it lasted that we could share things and trust that generally people would be upstanding citizens about it. AI companies have decided they would like to poison those waters. So now I think the responsible thing for any programmer to do, even if they want their software to be used open source, is it should be hosted somewhere that has a clear license that you have to click through to actually get to it, so it will be under their control what gets done with that thing. Since previously that would have just been the case, but now we're sort of seeing that AI companies have decided to be bad actors, basically. There's no other way to say it. Like, that is literally what they've decided, that they will not ask, and they don't care if they have your permission to use something. So I think the only responsible thing to do is to move to that. And GitHub obviously won't provide it because Microsoft has no incentive to provide that. It would be great if someone started a competing service that had that was relatively free of other constraints. But for me, I just figured, well, I'll just host a Git instance and call it a day.
So why don't you take this opportunity and create your own service? I mean, you talked about how you envision Git should be,
I mean, I don't like maintaining website stuff. It's the same reason I've never gone into that sort of thing. It's not my. I don't derive joy from it, Prime.
Oh, nice, good answer.
I don't derive joy from it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I
fair.
want to see like cool reflection mapping on the screen and stuff like that. Like, that's my jam. You know what I mean? I like that sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, I could go do that, but it just wouldn't be that much fun for me, right? So I'd rather just usually I'd rather pay someone. Like, my first thing is, does anyone actually have a service out there that I can just pay them to host this thing for me, because I don't really want to do it. And sometimes the answer is unfortunately no, right?
What about Git? I thought
what?
Git had a private service that you can purchase from. Do they have LLMs a part of this, or is it?
So for this particular case, I wanted to do an integration where people who subscribe to Computer Enhance will get special access to code that I publish that people who don't can't access. And so as far as I could tell, there was no way to do that with the paid service. So that's why I'm hosting my own. Ordinarily, I absolutely would just pay someone to do it. I'm totally happy paying for web services if they work, right? So I would have done that, but in this particular case, I didn't see really a way to do the integration because I knew I was going to have to kind of run some stuff myself. I do web dev. I just do it begrudgingly, right?
Do web dev, yeah.
Yeah,
I do
So,
like a little. When I have to, I'll do a little.
Do. Yeah.
so
I
do
do.
you not use Git because it's EA at the end of the day, right? Like EA, it's in the repo. Git EA.
In the repo.
I don't
Since
know.
it's a
I just said
competing
Git
game
because I don't
development
know how to
company, you
say
just
it.
don't use it. Is that the real reason?
I was so confused on what you meant by that. I was like, what's this?
I knew as soon as you
It was a
said
stretch.
EA Prime, I was like, it's in the game.
It's in the repo.
I was like, executive assistant? I was so confused.
It wasn't there like also effective accelerationist or something.
Yeah.
Like, aren't there other weird EAs we could go with there too?
Effective altruism was the first
Altruism,
one.
there you go. Like, whatever it is. There's weird Silicon Valley stuff. You check your code in and all of a sudden it's trying to figure out how it can maximize its take. So anyway, yeah, that we are doing that, and I am doing it, unfortunately. When I say we, in this case it's just me.
The royal we.
But I hope to have that done somewhat soon. We're just running, but we're not doing anything cool. It's literally we're putting it on our own server and hooking it up.
What's the problem of having LLMs read your code, like on GitHub? Like, why do you view that as a problem?
So I don't necessarily view it as a problem. I view it as something that I can't turn off in my license. So it's an issue of control, as it always is. Like, a license is supposed to give you control over what you do and don't allow. And in my case, it'd be like, well, I might allow an LLM to read this code if I looked and I saw that the people who were operating that LLM training were doing something generally good for society. I didn't have a problem with what they might be planning. I didn't have a problem with
Sam Altman?
Yeah, like, maybe not. But I mean, to be fair to Sam Altman, I have some limited hope that he will pass a Turing test sometime in the next year or two, let's say. Like, I'm still thinking at some point he'll come out and give an interview and I'll be like, that's a human. But it hasn't happened yet. So they're working on it at OpenAI, and I do think they've made a lot of progress. It just hasn't happened yet. However, I mean, like, if I look at something and I'm like, this is actually an LLM training thing that I would be on board with, then I'd allow that. Whereas if I look at something and I'm like, I don't like what these people are doing, I think it's exploitative, I think it's this, I think it's that, I want to be able to turn that off. And the fact that they're just asserting that they can take everyone's stuff without asking their permission is unlike most things that we have had previously, even in open source, where there's very clear, we've had a very long tradition in open source of providing a license and you're expected to follow that license. If you're not even willing to do that, I don't find you to be a good actor, and I don't really want to participate in whatever the heck you're doing. So on me, it's a principle issue.
It seemed pretty confirmed confirmed. Like, it's kind of nobody cares anymore because the cat's already out of the bag, it seems. But when Copilot was first coming out, you could type some like LGPL code and stuff, and it would complete the rest of like famous LGPL code, and that's clearly against the license because they're using the code for a commercial purpose and not allowing the viral license to spread, right, in a good way. Like, you know, what if you believe that that's good or whatever. And also you're like, bro, GitHub, you guys could have just like you have the license, just filter out repos with LGPL. It was like, dude.
Yeah. No, it's very clear that they just don't care about being good actors there. And effectively, I think it could have a lot of even more negative consequences that people haven't thought about yet. Because let's suppose that in the future, you know, there's enough lobbying or the courts, you know, decide one way or whatever, and it turns out there's just no penalties for this, and they decide that it's fair use to do whatever the heck you want with an LLM, then what's the result of that? Well, it's not that AIs just get free reign. That will not be what happens. What will happen is everyone will go dark, because now there's an overwhelming incentive to keep all of your code in-house and not allow anyone to access it, because now only way to provide that value and to keep that control over what, you know, how things are being used is to not share it with anyone who isn't a signatory to a specific license and who you actually have a specific business relationship with that goes beyond copyright. So
this is the 3-body problem, dude. They just made the 3-body problem, but for code. Like,
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to say yes.
Great reference, am I right,
That's a
son?
good reference.
I have
That's a good
understood none of the
reference.
references this episode.
Trash, read a book.
I watched the show. I still don't get it. The show, I got nothing from what you said from the show.
The show has the same characters, not really doing something. The only thing good about the show was the ship being sliced. Like, besides for that, nothing else about the show really made any sense.
Okay, Trash, I'll explain it to you very quickly. This is spoilers.
And me.
The book's
What about me?
Yeah.
I still have no idea what we're talking about
Okay,
right now.
see?
It's
Casey, I
book
thought
two.
you-
Is really what TJ's about to explain.
Yeah, you'd love this. This is called the basic premise of the series is that, like, well, the main thing I'm referencing here is called the Dark Forest problem, right? That's what they call it, Prime, in the book?
Yeah, the Dark Forest.
Which is that basically because, like, light travels so slowly on the scale of, like, the universe that if you sent a message out somewhere into the galaxy or into the universe and then, like, someone got it, it would be 5,000 years into the
Right.
future,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And so by the time they got your message, your society would be so changed that you're probably like way more advanced than you were before. And so it sets up this game theory problem where basically like everyone's just going to blow up all the civilizations sending out messages because they're like, by the time we got this, they could be like laser nuke cannons
Right.
that can incinerate us at the speed of light and we can't block it. So
Right.
then everyone, I think this is like the, I
Yeah,
think that's
you have the basic
a fair
premise.
summary. So then instead everybody has to be quiet because it's like the Dark Forest and you like basically
Okay.
put yourself in some crazy Dyson sphere or something. I don't really remember what the exact thing was. And so it's like, hey guys, we're
Yep.
signaling. We have no interest in blowing up other planets, so we're gonna go dark. And this is the same thing here. So anyway, sorry, Trash.
No,
and
okay,
Casey.
I totally
Yep.
see where you're going with that. Yes, and yeah, I mean that's basically what it's going to be because why would anyone share anything anymore? Because now they know that it's just disrespected, and even what little they may have wanted out of control for a sort of like the GPL or something where it's like, look, you have to pay it forward.
Right.
Now you know that's not respected. So why would anyone put code out who's putting it out under GPL? Why would they share that code anymore? And so there's now going to be incredible disincentive for programmers to put things out into open source. And so thanks AI companies, like, way to go. Like, because you were too greedy, you're going to destroy that aspect of this, right? And their answer is like, but don't worry, the AIs will be so smart, they'll generate the code. It's like, yeah, what if they're not? Like what if you're just wrong and it doesn't happen? Like, it's fine if it does, but you can't predicate all of your behavior on success in this like weird Machiavellian way if there's still a very real potential that it fails or takes way longer than you think. Like, it takes 50 years instead of 5, right? And all of a sudden you just ruined everything for everybody for 5 decades because you were a dick.
And
I was
that's
pretty sure,
happening.
Trash, you were telling me you were gonna keep posting your code though.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with a Normie response.
Go.
I'm pretty sure, like, at least in my, like, this is just a guess here, but I feel like the vast majority is like me, where if you're gonna put it on GitHub, you're kind of, especially open source, you're more than likely okay with probably an LLM scanning it. And then there's going to be like a small subset of that community, people like Casey or whoever that really like holds on to like your IP, right? And you don't want anybody to scan it. My assumption is just like, I know GitHub is definitely a piece of crap, right? Like most of these big companies. But to me, it's like, I don't have anything so important to where I'm like, no LLM, you can't take this. It's kind of like, it is what it is. My actual thing about GitHub is that GitHub just sucks. Like it's a fucking just terrible product. I use it every day. I can't look at a big PR because it just crashes my browser. So I'm just like, approve. I don't know what you even did. So that's my big like thing with GitHub. That's where I'm like, so if anything, with them getting absorbed, maybe something changes, maybe it gets even better. Has anyone used GitHub outside of like the actual repo view? Does anyone use their notifications in the homepage? I've never seen it. So maybe like going into like this other org or getting absorbed, maybe it can only get up. No, it can definitely go down from here.
It can definitely go down.
Yeah, it can definitely go down. But I'm hoping just like something gets better. Like I'm already like so far moved from me like cheering for GitHub in any sense. So like when this news came to me, I was like, whatever, it's just a piece of shit anyways. But maybe they do something cool. Likely not, but God forbid, like my experience with GitHub has been the same since I used it like a decade ago. So hopefully someone comes in, makes something better. There's like services like Graphite, Blacksmith that have some pretty cool stuff, but I don't know. I just don't think GitHub cares about anything, especially its users.
There's a follow-up thing that I think is kind of interesting, which is that if Uncle Bob is to be believed, that every 5 years, the population of software developers, the new population is effectively equivalent to the current running amount, meaning that if we have 3x or if we have 2x engineers, one of the X's is in 5 years or less experience. If Copilot came out 4 years ago, most of these people are starting to come in through the agent and LLM. We're slowly getting to a population where more and more people don't even know how to program at all. Does GitHub have any real long-term footing anyways to begin with? Like, are people just going to use Replit or whatever service, and it just doesn't matter how their code's stored? It doesn't matter where it's stored. They don't even have a concept of this. And in 5 years, are we going to even be talking about GitHub? Or is it just going to be the magic storage place that always keeps track of everyone's moves? By the way, this is a big in thought. This is not my thought, so I can't take credit for it. We were talking about this.
I think you could take credit for it if you wanted to, because what's he going to do about it? He's not even on here.
I don't even know who Beacon is.
I'm going to fire him.
Yeah, who is that?
So what you're saying is if I vibe coded with like Bolt or something, it just stores the code for me, launches it, and I don't even care. Like,
what about all the vibe coders coming up? They don't really care.
True, exactly.
And so Cursor can just effectively destroy GitHub's moat in an afternoon if they just set up a Git T instance and be like, we now host projects, $5 extra a month. You get to host unlimited projects. Go.
Well, Zed is actually doing that, right?
Oh, Zed's doing it? Nice.
I think Zed is doing, they're calling it, I should have looked this up. Maybe someone in chat can send it to me. But they're making, it's not Git. It's going to be something different. It's much actually closer, Casey, to your like ideal state, since it's like inside the editor, and they're going to track a bunch more state and be able to play more things and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was. There was some loose announcement that I saw.
Griffin saying it's JJ under the hood potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what the actual plan is, but like exactly what we're saying is because a lot of people, maybe it will look very different. Maybe they just won't even care where their code's stored or whatever. It's just, I deployed it. It's good. I mean, like I've used some of those. You just want, I don't know where the code is. You know what I'm saying? Like I click the button and it goes. Like,
does anyone really know where the code is, TJ?
Yes,
Well,
it's in the
where
cloud.
it is.
It's above us.
Because it knows where it isn't. Don't Kamala Harris us, TJ.
No, that's my favorite one.
Didn't they put stuff in the ocean? Didn't they put stuff like in a crate and just drop it in the water?
Let me suggest a more evil thought,
data lake.
because I feel like I put nothing past AI companies at this point. The
I
much
love
more
evil.
version of this, everyone races to get a development environment that stores the code, but stores the code in such a way that only their LLMs train off of it. Because the value in the LLM is going to come from how much code and what code quality it can train off of. So they're not going to want, like if you have your cursor is running something, they're not going to want to share any of the code that you're writing, that they're storing, that they're training off of with their competitors, because they don't want those competitors to get any better, right? Right now that's not happening because most of these are segmented. It's like the AI company is a different provider than the company that's providing the IDE, but I doubt that will remain true forever. OpenAI already bought one, right?
Yes. I feel the normie concern people are missing out, or the concern that normies are missing out on about like the LLMs reading your open source code is that if companies can get around things like GPL licenses and courts decide that, it is a really sad and like kind of, it's a huge bummer because this means like every time a successful open source thing happens where they build something and it's like properly open source, maybe they run their own hosting or whatever, they have some way to make a company, or it's just properly GPL and it's like a great thing. Any company can just literally copy that feature for feature, everything, and just say that the AI did it. And so like Amazon can just Elasticsearch everything in the future, right? Where they just like take all of it from you. So that part is like an actual bummer and thing that would be sad. Trash, originally I asked you about you were posting your code because I thought you were like intentionally poisoning the AI's training data. Is that not true?
Oh, I'm always actively sabotaging.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because that explains a lot of your GitHub
I'm
contributions,
fighting for
so.
humanity right now, as far as I'm
okay,
concerned.
thank you.
So
Thanks.
we're good. I'm on
Also,
your side.
I would hope that, I mean, I don't know what normie refers to exactly in this case, but I would also hope that normies would care about the fact that like a bunch of these people are making open source software aren't getting paid amazing salaries. Some AI researcher who hasn't done jack squat but type in a bunch of crappy lines of Python that didn't really work is making 500 grand a year, and the open source developer who they're ripping off to make their product is making nothing. They should have a problem with that. Like at some level you should have a problem with that, and that is what copyright was supposed to be solving. It was supposed to be ensuring that those people were getting some of this money. If open source, if AI developers were all making 25 grand a year and had to take a second job at McDonald's, I wouldn't have a problem with this. But they're not. They're taking all the money for themselves, and they're getting paid even as their companies are losing money, right? And a shit ton of, am I allowed to say that on this podcast?
Yes.
A crap ton of money is going to build gigantic, like gigawatt data centers, right? That are sucking up all of the electricity from your state, and they're taking all of the GPUs you were going to be using for gaming. Those are gone. They're going to that data center now. All of the RAM you were going to be buying for your GPU, that's going into that data center. So you are losing a ton, even if you're, for whatever we want to call a normie. I think you have the same concerns as someone who maybe isn't a normie or whatever. I don't even like these distinctions very much. People should be pretty pissed about this, in my opinion.
Hey, is that HTTP? Get that out of here. That's not how we order coffee. We order coffee via SSH, terminal.shop. Yeah, you want a real experience? You want real coffee? You want awesome subscriptions so you never have to remember again? Oh, you want exclusive blends with exclusive coffee and exclusive content? Then check out Cron. You don't know what SSH is? Well, maybe the coffee's not for you.
Terminal coffee in hand, living the